Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty important to everyone, self-love. And we're going to be building this 30-day self-love challenge as a guide. It's from the blog Tickled Think. And I know a lot of you guys are already familiar with self-care, but we're going to go a little deeper than, bubble baths and face masks,
Yeah.
even though those are great too.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty about self-love and look at the research and science behind it all.
Yeah, for sure. So this challenge is made up of 30 different daily activities. And some of them really have me thinking, like, have you ever written yourself a love letter?
Oh, yeah, that can be a really powerful exercise. It might feel a little weird at first, but it really makes you think about how you see yourself and why you're worthy of love.
Yeah, it definitely gets you out of your comfort zone. But let's take it back to the beginning of the challenge. Day one is all about journaling. Seems pretty common for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it might seem basic, but it's really more than just getting your feelings out on paper. When you journal every day, you're basically training your brain to really look at your thoughts and emotions. There's actually research showing that this kind of self-reflection can actually change the way your brain works, leading to you being more self-aware and able to control your emotions better.
Wow. So it's not just about venting, there's some real brain science going on.
Exactly. And that increase in self-awareness is really important for self-love. It helps you see the negative thought patterns you have and start to question them.
That makes sense. And speaking of challenging negative thoughts, the challenge also includes positive affirmations. I'll admit, I used to think those were a little cheesy, but I'm open to hearing more.
I get it. The whole look in the mirror and tell yourself you're amazing thing can feel kind of forced. But the science behind how affirmations actually work is pretty cool. When you repeat positive statements about yourself, you're not just wishing for something to happen, you're actually prepping your brain to look for things that prove those statements true.
Oh, so it's like you're planting a seed in your subconscious and then helping it grow.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's all about switching your focus to your good qualities and the things you want to get better at, instead of focusing on the negative. And over time, this can lead to you seeing yourself more positively and having more confidence.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these little things can really change the way you think. Now, one thing I personally struggle with is setting boundaries. And thankfully, the challenge hits this one head on.
It's so important for self-love. It's all about understanding your own needs and limits and being able to tell other people about them clearly. It's not about being selfish. It's about protecting your time and energy and mental well-being.
So it's more about saying yes to yourself than saying no to other people.
Exactly. And the challenge suggests you start small, like saying no to small requests that you don't really want to do, maybe skipping a social event you're not into, or politely saying no to an extra task at work when you're feeling overwhelmed.
That makes it seem a lot less scary. It's like building up that no muscle without feeling bad or obligated.
Exactly. The more you do it, the easier it gets. It's about changing your mindset from people-pleasing to self-honoring.
And then on day seven, it's all about celebrating wins, and not just the big ones. It encourages you to celebrate even the smallest achievements.
This is key because it really strengthens that positive self-image. When you take the time to recognize what you've done well, you're basically telling your brain that you're capable and deserve praise. This makes you feel better about yourself and gives you the motivation to keep going.
It's like giving yourself a little pat on the back. We're always so hard on ourselves for what we haven't done that we forget to celebrate the things we have done.
Absolutely. It's just a small change in how you think, but it can have a really big impact on how you see yourself. And the challenge is to make a list of 3 things you've achieved each day, no matter how small. It could be anything from finishing a project at work to finally cleaning out that junk drawer.
Yeah, that's a good reminder that even boring everyday tasks can be wins worth celebrating. Okay, now, for something that can be tough for a lot of us, forgiving ourselves.
Forgiveness, especially forgiving yourself, is often forgotten when we talk about self-love. We tend to hold ourselves to these crazy high standards and keep thinking about past mistakes, and that can lead to a lot of shame and guilt.
It's like carrying around all this baggage from the past that stops us from moving forward. The challenge says to say out loud, I forgive myself and set myself free. It feels powerful. It's also kind of scary.
Yeah, it can be a challenging thing to do, but think of it like you're making a choice. You're choosing to let go of that baggage and embrace self-compassion. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're saying your past actions were okay. It means you're recognizing that you're human, you make mistakes, and you're choosing to learn from them and grow.
I see it as breaking free from all that self-criticism and making space for self-acceptance.
Exactly. It's about knowing that you deserve to be treated kindly and with understanding, even by yourself.
And that leads us right into the next theme of the challenge, making self-care a priority.
This is a big one, and a lot of people struggle with it. We often feel bad about taking time for ourselves, like it's selfish or indulgent.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Always feeling like there's something else I should be doing. But this challenge reframes self-care as something you need, not a luxury. It encourages you to build routines and actually schedule time for yourself, just like you would for any other important appointment.
That's a great point. When you see self-care as an essential part of being, well, it becomes a lot easier to put it first. And remember, self-care doesn't have to be complicated or take a lot of time. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes every day to meditate, read a book, listen to music, or just spend time in nature.
And sometimes it's about letting yourself do absolutely nothing.
Guilt-free. You got it. Rest is productive too. We'll go deeper into the details of self-care in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, let's switch gears and talk about something that might surprise you: cultivating gratitude. It's crazy how we kind of forget about gratitude sometimes, even though it's so simple and powerful.
Yeah, I know, right? We get so caught up in what we don't have that we forget to appreciate what we do have. And day 11 of this challenge really points that out.
Yeah, it encourages you to make a list of 10 things you're grateful for. It might seem small, but when you focus on what you appreciate, it can really change how you see things and helps you recognize all the good things you have in your life.
I see how that ties into self-love. When you're grateful for what you have, you're less likely to compare yourself to others or feel like you're not good enough.
Exactly. It's about building a feeling of contentment and appreciation, which are really key parts of self-love. And the research proves it. Studies show that practicing gratitude regularly can make you happier, improve your relationships, and even make you healthier physically.
Wow. So those gratitude lists aren't just some fluffy feel-good exercise. They have real benefits.
They really do. And they can be especially helpful when you're feeling down or stressed. Taking a few minutes to focus on what you're grateful for can really shift your mood and help you see things in a better light.
Okay, I'm sold. Adding daily gratitude practice to my to-do list. So what else does this challenge have up its sleeve?
Well, on day 12, it wants you to spend time doing something you're good at and that you enjoy. It's about tapping into your talents and passions.
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to shine and do things that bring you joy and fulfillment.
Exactly. And when you engage in activities that make you feel competent and energized, it boosts your self-esteem and reminds you of your strengths. It's a great way to reconnect with your true self.
Then there's day 13, which is all about establishing a self-care routine.
This builds on what we talked about before about making self-care a priority. It's about coming up with a plan that includes activities that are good for your mind, body, and soul. The challenge even gives you links to resources to help you create your own personal self-care plan.
That's so helpful. It takes out the guesswork and gives you a clear path to follow. And reminds us that self-care isn't just a one-time thing. It's about making it a regular part of your life.
You got it. And remember, self-care is different for everyone. It's about finding what works for you, what brings you peace, joy, or makes you feel refreshed. It could be anything from taking a long bath, to spending time in nature, to listening to your favorite music.
And sometimes it's about saying no to things that drain your energy and just allowing yourself to relax and recharge.
Absolutely. Rest is just as important as being active.
Yeah.
Speaking of recharging, day 17 encourages us to get outside and connect with nature.
I'm all for that. Nature's my happy place. There's something about being around trees and fresh air that calms my mind and lifts my spirits.
I feel the same way, and there's science to back it up. Studies have shown that spending time in nature has tons of benefits for our mental and physical health. It can lower stress and anxiety, improve your mood, boost creativity, and even make your brain work better.
It's like hitting the reset button for your whole system. I know I always feel more grounded and centered after being outdoors.
It's a powerful reminder that we're connected to something bigger than ourselves. Now, this next one might be a challenge for some people in our tech-obsessed world. Day 19 is all about doing a digital detox.
Ooh, that one hits a little close to home. Definitely guilty of spending way too much time on social media and checking emails.
We've all been there. But the challenge really stresses how important it is to disconnect from all that stimulation, to give yourself a break from all the digital noise.
It's about creating space for quiet and letting your mind unwind.
Exactly. It's a chance to reconnect with yourself, to do things you enjoy offline, and to be more present in the real world.
I think a lot of us don't realize how much technology affects our mental well-being. We're constantly flooded with information and stimulation, which can be overwhelming and lead to anxiety and burnout.
It's true. Taking a digital detox, even for a little while, can be really good for your mental and emotional health.
Now let's talk about something that can be a real struggle for a lot of people. Body image. Day 20 encourages us to love the skin we're in, which can be hard in a society that's always telling us what we should look like.
Absolutely. We're constantly bombarded with images of perfect bodies, and it makes it tough to feel good about ourselves. But this challenge reminds us that our bodies are amazing and deserve our love and respect, no matter what shape, size, or perceived imperfections we might have.
It's about shifting our focus from outward appearances to inward appreciation. It's about celebrating what our bodies can do, instead of putting them down for how they look.
Exactly. The challenge even suggests writing down 5 compliments about your body and saying them out loud. It might feel a little weird at first, but it's a powerful way to challenge those negative thoughts and start accepting yourself.
I love that. It's about replacing all that criticism with kindness and appreciation.
And speaking of kindness, Day 22 challenges us to do random acts of kindness for others.
This is something I try to do regularly. It doesn't have to be anything big or fancy. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone, giving a genuine compliment, or donating to a cause you care about.
And the amazing thing is that acts of kindness not only benefit the person receiving them, but they also have a positive impact on the person doing them. Studies have shown that helping others can make you feel happier, more purposeful, and better about yourself. It's a win-win for everyone.
It's a great reminder that we're all connected. And even the smallest gestures of kindness can really brighten someone's day.
Now something we all need to hear, especially in our always-on culture. Day 23 is all about taking a break.
Yes, we're always pressured to be productive and achieve all the time. But rest and relaxation are just as important as hard work.
Exactly. This challenge reminds us that it's okay to slow down, to step back from our responsibilities, and just allow ourselves to be. It's recognizing that rest isn't a sign of weakness or laziness. It's essential for our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
It's about recharging our batteries so we can be our best selves when we go back to our tasks and commitments.
And sometimes the most productive thing you can do is take a break and let your mind and body rest and recover.
Okay. Now for a topic that can be a real struggle for many of us. Negative thoughts. Day 24 encourages us to let go of those pesky thoughts that hold us back and create all that unnecessary stress and self-doubt.
It's about realizing that our thoughts aren't always true and that we can choose which thoughts to focus on.
The challenge gives us some helpful tips for managing negative thinking. It tells us to identify and challenge those thoughts, to try to see them in a more positive way, and to concentrate on our strengths and what we've achieved.
It's about developing a more compassionate and supportive inner voice.
Now, this next one might seem a little out of place in a self-love challenge, but it actually makes sense when you think about it. Day 25 is all about decluttering one area of your life.
It could be your closet, your desk, your email inbox, any area that feels cluttered and chaotic. The idea is that physical clutter can reflect what's going on inside you, and that clearing out the external stuff can create a sense of peace and order internally.
I know that when my surroundings are messy, my mind feels more scattered and stressed. But when my space is clean and organized, I feel calmer and more in control.
Exactly. It's a simple but effective way to improve your overall well-being. And it's a reminder that self-care isn't just about pampering yourself. It's also about creating an environment that's good for your mental and emotional health.
Okay, back to a more traditional self-love topic. Day 26 is about becoming your own best friend.
This is such a key part of self-love. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and support that you would give a close friend. It's about knowing you're worthy of love and care.
It's about silencing that inner critic and replacing it with encouragement and understanding.
The challenge wants you to pay attention to how you talk to yourself and to be more gentle and encouraging. It's about celebrating your wins no matter how small and giving yourself comfort and support when you're feeling down.
It's about being your own biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
And then we get to one of my favorite challenges. Day 27 is all about having fun.
Yeah. We often get so caught up in our to-do list that we forget to make time for joy and play.
We definitely take ourselves too seriously sometimes. But this challenge reminds us that having fun is crucial for our well-being. It helps us relax, de-stress, connect with our inner child, and just enjoy life more.
Exactly. It's about finding activities that bring you pure joy and making time for them, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Whether it's reading, watching a movie, spending time with loved ones, dancing, singing, playing games, or pursuing a hobby, the key is to choose activities that make you feel happy and alive.
And then we have day 28, which is a beautiful and powerful exercise, Writing yourself a love letter.
I know we talked about this before, but I'm still a little iffy about it. It feels kind of cheesy, to be honest.
I understand. It might feel weird or even silly at first, but trust me on this one. Writing a love letter to yourself is an amazing way to acknowledge your strengths, appreciate your journey, and show yourself compassion.
It's like putting all those positive affirmations into action, expressing them in a tangible way.
Exactly. It's your chance to really pour your heart out to yourself, to acknowledge your struggles, celebrate your triumphs, and affirm that you're worthy of love and happiness.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm starting to see the value in it.
Now, something that's often forgotten when we talk about self-love is the importance of asking for help. Day 29 tackles this head-on.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like we have to do everything ourselves, especially in a world that values independence and being self-reliant.
But there's strength in reaching out for support when we need it, whether it's talking to a friend, family member, therapist, or joining a support group. Seeking help shows self-awareness and that you care for yourself.
It's about realizing that we don't have to go through tough times alone.
Exactly. And asking for help doesn't mean you're weak or incapable. It means you're smart enough to know your limits and to get support when you need it. It's a sign of strength and self-compassion.
And finally, we reach day 30, the last day of the challenge. It's about thanking yourself.
It's a really nice way to acknowledge your efforts and celebrate how far you've come on your self-love journey.
It's about recognizing that you've dedicated 30 days to intentionally taking care of yourself and growing as a person.
The challenge wants you to think about the past month, to see the positive changes you've made, and to commit to continuing your self-love journey even after these 30 days are over.
It's a reminder that self-love isn't a finish line. It's a journey that never ends.
And it's about celebrating everything you've accomplished and all the amazing things that are still to come.
I love that. It's a perfect way to finish this 30-day challenge and to get ready for a lifetime of self-love and self-care.
We'll be back after a short break to wrap up this deep dive and share our final thoughts. Wow, I feel like we've covered so much in this deep dive into self-love.
I know, right? It's been packed with insights and tips.
Hmm.
But before we wrap up, what were some of the things that really stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really hit me was the focus on the science behind these self-love practices. We tend to think of self-care as kind of fluffy and not that deep, but there's a ton of research showing how things like journaling gratitude and positive affirmations can actually change how our brains work.
And improve our mental health.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about feeling good for a minute. It's about making lasting changes to how we think and act. You got it. And that brings me to another big takeaway: consistency. This challenge isn't about doing big self-love things once in a blue moon. It's about making small, consistent changes every day. It's about making self-care a must-do, like brushing your teeth or eating breakfast.
It's about switching from self-care when I have time to self-care no matter what.
Exactly. And to do that, you need self-awareness. This challenge has really pushed us to pay attention to our thoughts, feelings, and needs. This helps us figure out what really nourishes us and lets us make choices that support our well-being.
It's like we're becoming our own best friend and protector, learning to listen to that inner voice and treat it with kindness and understanding.
I love that. Speaking of kindness, another takeaway for me was the focus on forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves and others. We often hang on to past hurts and mistakes, and that can build up a lot of resentment and negativity. But forgiveness lets us let go of that baggage and move forward with a lighter heart.
Forgiveness is such a powerful way to show yourself love. It's about recognizing that we're all human. We all mess up, and we all deserve a little compassion.
And that compassion extends to our bodies, too. We talked about body positivity. And challenging those crazy beauty standards society throws at us. It's about appreciating our bodies for everything they do for us, not criticizing how they look.
It's about embracing our unique selves
Yeah.
and recognizing that real beauty comes from within.
Well said. And lastly, I think this challenge really emphasized the importance of connection. We talked about spending time in nature, cultivating gratitude, nurturing our relationships, and even asking for help when we need it. We're not supposed to go through life alone. We do better when we feel connected to ourselves, to others, and to something greater than ourselves.
It reminds us that self-love isn't just about focusing on ourselves. It's about cultivating a sense of belonging and knowing we're not alone. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this 30-day self-love challenge.
It's been a really insightful journey. I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to start their own self-love adventures.
Me too. And I think one of the biggest things we've learned is that self-love isn't a destination. It's a journey. There will be good days and bad days, days when we feel amazing and days when we struggle. But the important thing is to keep practicing, keep learning. and keep showing up for ourselves with kindness and compassion.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Self-love isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. Making those small, consistent efforts to take care of our minds, bodies, and souls.
And remembering that we deserve to be loved and cared for, just as we are.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. What's one small act of self-love you can do today?
That's a great question to ponder. And remember, even the smallest things can make a big difference. Whether it's taking a few minutes to meditate writing in your journal or just giving yourself a compliment, every step you take towards self-love is a step in the right direction.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into self-love. We hope you enjoyed it and feel inspired to keep exploring this important topic. Until next time, take care of yourselves.